All right, let's kick things off today. We're diving deep into Dynamics 365 Business Central reports. And, those can be pretty important if you want to actually use all that data. We've all seen how much data these systems can collect.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we're going to use this excerpt from Microsoft Learn as our kind of guide. Don't worry, we'll make sure it's not dry like a textbook.
Yeah, we want to help everyone uncover the secrets of report design. We'll go beyond the what and really dig into the why behind each component, help people understand why this matters.
Absolutely, yeah. So, okay, let's imagine for a second. You're a business owner, and you are in desperate need of a report. Like, you need one that tells you which products are selling like hotcakes.
Right.
And you need to know which ones are just sitting there gathering dust.
Yeah.
You need those insights. But all you have is rows and rows of raw data.
It can be overwhelming.
It's useless in that form, right? That's where understanding the core components of a Business Central report can really make all the difference.
It's like having a superpower.
It is, yeah. So where do we even begin? What's the first building block?
Well, I think it all starts with the report object. You can think of it as the blueprint. It's what defines the data structure. Like when you decide the dimensions and layout of a warehouse.
Okay, so we're setting up the space, but we haven't filled it yet.
Exactly. That's where the report data set comes in. This is where you decide exactly what data is going to be in there.
Okay.
You pick which products, the sales figures, the dates, anything you need to paint that clear picture.
So the report object is the blueprint, and the report data set is like the list of materials.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, I like that analogy. But what happens if we mess this part up? What if we just pull in all the data?
It's going to be a mess.
Right.
It'll be slow, it'll be clunky, confusing. Like, imagine trying to find a needle in a haystack.
And you said we were trying to help that business owner make quick decisions.
That's right.
So that's not going to work.
Nope, not at all. A well-structured data set is key. So what does well-structured even mean, right? Think about organizing that warehouse. You'd put hammers with hammers and glassware with glassware.
Yeah.
Definitely not together. A well-structured data set makes sure data is grouped logically. So the relationships between the different pieces of information are super clear.
Oh, okay.
And most importantly, only the relevant data is in there.
So organized data equals an efficient report.
Okay, got it. So we've got our blueprint and our materials. Now what? What's next?
Time to make it look good. We're talking report layouts now. This is how that data gets presented visually. And we've got options, right? There's Excel, there's Word, and there's RDL layouts.
I was just thinking, it's like picking out the right outfit.
Perfect analogy.
Exactly.
Segregation.
So Excel, that's your go-to if you want an interactive report, with charts and graphs.
I love a good graph.
They're perfect for spotting trends, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got Word. That's ideal for creating those polished document-style reports, like your invoices or your statements.
And then there's the RDL layouts. I've heard those can be a bit more challenging.
Yeah, they can be. They offer the most customization, but there's a catch. They can also be slower, especially for document-style reports.
Really?
Think of it this way. Word layouts, they're streamlined for creating documents. RDL layouts, they're like building a custom house. Yeah, you get more flexibility, but it takes way more time and expertise. Plus, Word layouts play much nicer with security settings, which can be a big deal for businesses.
Right, of course. So for our business owner who needs a clear and fast report, a Word layout might be the way to go.
Could be, especially if they need something straightforward and easy to print or share.
All right, so the report is built, the layout is chosen. What's next? Where do we go from here?
We bring in the user, finally. This is where the report request page comes in. This is where they can customize the report before it runs. So imagine our business owner wants to see sales data, but only for a specific month. Or maybe they want to compare the performance of different product categories. That request page is where they would set those parameters.
So it's like a control panel. The user gets to fine-tune what they see.
Exactly. And to make it even easier, you can add teaching tips. Those are little hints and explanations right there on the page to guide them along.
Oh, that's great. To make sure the report is actually helpful.
Right, and not just intimidating.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've talked about the blueprint, the data, how it looks, user control, anything else. That goes into building a Business Central report.
Well, there's one more layer. There's properties, triggers, and code.
Okay.
This is where developers get more control over how the report behaves. Think of it like automating tasks, adding alerts, and really fine-tuning the functionality.
So this is where it gets a little more technical.
A little bit, yeah. But for now, just know that it exists. We can dive into the details later. So we have all the pieces of the puzzle now. How do they fit together to create a cohesive and meaningful report?
Yeah. And how does this actually help our business owner who's drowning in data but starving for insights? I mean, that's the whole point, right?
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. So let's look at all these components we've talked about and see how they can actually work together to solve our business owner's problem.
Right.
Remember, they're trying to figure out which products are selling well and which ones are just kind of sitting there.
Right. They need to turn all this data into something they can actually use.
Exactly. Actionable insights.
It's like having all the ingredients for a meal, but no recipe.
Perfect. Yeah.
So how do we use these building blocks to create something useful, a report they can actually use?
Okay. Well, first, let's go back to the report object, that blueprint we talked about.
Right.
In this case, we want a structure that really focuses on product information, sales figures, and even inventory levels. So that foundation is all about product performance.
Okay, so the blueprint's focused. Now, what about the data itself, that report data set?
Right. So here we need each product's name, ID, its sales figures over a specific period, and the current inventory levels. We might even want to include things like the product category, the supplier, maybe even the profit margin for each item.
This is where it gets tricky, right?
Yeah, this is where that careful selection and structuring is so important.
Because if we just dump everything in, we'll have that needle in a haystack problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A well-structured data set, in this case, would group all those sales figures for a specific product together, link them to the correct inventory data.
Okay.
And it makes sure everything is organized, for easy analysis.
Like a really well-organized spreadsheet where everything is labeled and categorized.
That's it, yeah.
Easy to find. So let's say our business owner wants to compare sales, but for different product categories.
Right.
How do we handle that?
We make sure each product is tagged with its category during the data setup. That way, when the report runs, we can easily filter or group those products by category.
Okay.
And the business owner gets a really clear view of performance across those different segments.
Oh, okay. So I'm starting to see how this all comes together now. So we've got that. Let's move on to presentation, the report layout.
Right.
How do we visualize all this data for our business owner?
I'd probably lean towards an Excel layout here. It's great for creating charts and graphs.
Oh, I love a good visual.
Me too.
They make everything so much clearer.
They make those trends really pop out.
Yeah.
Imagine like a bar chart showing sales figures for each product category,
Yes.
or a line graph tracking sales trends over time.
And our business owner could even play around with that data, right? In Excel.
Right, yeah.
Like create a pivot table to see which products are driving the most sales.
Exactly. That's the power of an interactive layout.
That's so cool. Okay, and then we can't forget the report request page.
Yeah.
This is where the business owner gets to control what they see, right?
Absolutely. We could include filters for date ranges, product categories, or even individual products.
Okay.
So maybe they want to focus on sales just for, say, July, or compare how two specific products are doing.
And this is where those teaching tips come in.
Exactly. We want this report to be helpful, not a burden.
Of course.
Now, remember that last layer we talked about? Properties, triggers, and code. We can use those to make this report even more powerful.
Oh, right. How so? Give me an example.
Well, let's say we want to alert our business owner whenever inventory drops below a certain level.
Right.
We could set up a trigger that automatically sends them an email.
Wow.
It's a proactive way to prevent stockouts.
So helpful. So we're not just presenting data, we're building a system to help them make decisions in real time.
That's right. We're combining these components to suit their needs.
I'm thinking about all the other ways these components could be used. This isn't just for inventory management, is it?
No, not at all. These building blocks apply to so many business challenges: tracking sales, analyzing finances, you name it.
So understanding these components is really important, like having a master key.
Yeah, it gives you a framework for how to collect, how to structure, how to present, and then use that data to make better decisions.
I feel empowered already. But I'm also thinking, there's probably a lot that can go wrong in this process.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You're not wrong. Even when you understand the components, there are still challenges that can trip you up.
Well, luckily for us, we have you to guide us through those.
I'll do my best.
Let's dive into those challenges in our final part, shall we?
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've explored those building blocks of Business Central reports. We've even walked through how to use them for a real-world problem.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining, with any construction project, there could be some hiccups along the way.
Absolutely. Even with the best blueprint and all the right materials, things don't always go as planned. So in this final part, let's talk about some of those common challenges and, how to avoid them.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm already picturing our business owner running into a problem and getting frustrated.
It happens.
So what's the first hurdle we need to prepare them for?
One of the biggest headaches is performance issues. They've built the report, the data's there, but it's just crawling.
Oh no, nobody's got time for that.
Nobody. It's so frustrating.
What causes those performance bottlenecks?
Well, remember how we talked about the importance of a well-structured report data set?
Yeah.
That's often the culprit. A disorganized data set, it's like trying to drive a car with a flat tire. You might get there eventually, but it's gonna be a rough ride.
Back to that spreadsheet analogy. If we want a smooth, efficient report, the data needs to be in good shape.
Exactly. And there are a few things to keep in mind. First, are you pulling in more data than you actually need? Sometimes people think more is better.
Right.
But with reports, a lean data set focused on what's essential is always going to be faster.
Less is more.
Okay. And make sure the relationships between your tables are clear.
Okay.
Remember, our business owner wanted to see sales by product category. If the connection between those two tables is fuzzy, the report is going to struggle.
Like a puzzle with pieces that don't quite fit.
Exactly. And then don't forget about those query objects.
Oh, right.
They're like a personal assistant, pre-sorting and summarizing the data before the report even sees it. A huge time saver for large data sets.
So even with a ton of data, we can still have a fast report. Okay, performance issues, tackled.
On to the next one.
What's next?
Layout problems. This is a classic one. The report looks perfect on the screen,
Right.
but when you try to print it, disaster.
The print preview nightmare.
Headings cut off, charts all squished together, a mess.
Oh no, I can see it now. Stacks of useless pages.
Yeah, so rule number 1, always test your report in print preview.
Okay.
Don't just assume it'll translate from the screen to paper.
So like trying on clothes before you buy them.
Exactly, you got to see how they look in the real world.
Good point. Any other layout tips we should remember?
Pay attention to the details, margins, font sizes, white space. It can look clean on the screen, but if the margins are too small, you'll lose information when you print it.
So it needs to be both visually appealing and functional.
That's right.
And I'm thinking the type of layout we choose. Excel, Word, RDL, that makes a difference too, right?
Definitely. Word layouts are generally better for printing documents, especially those with complex formatting. Excel, great for interactive reports. Might need some extra work to print nicely.
Okay, so choosing the right tool for the job. We've covered performance, layout, anything else that can trip us up.
The final hurdle I see a lot is user error.
Oh, right.
You've got this fantastic report, runs perfectly, but the user has no idea how to use it.
It's like getting a fancy gadget with no instructions.
Exactly. So this is where those teaching tips on the request page come in. Clear, concise instructions, explaining those filters, guide them through the results.
Like a built-in user manual.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget training. A quick session, a well-written guide, it can make all the difference.
So we're not just building reports, we're building support around them too.
That's right. We want our users to feel confident, not overwhelmed. The goal is to turn data into insights.
Of course.
And that means everyone needs to understand how to use these tools.
Well, I think we've given our business owner a great head start. Any parting words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just remember, building reports is a journey. You're not going to get it perfect right away. Experiment, get feedback, and don't be afraid to learn and improve.
Like any skill, practice makes perfect. With the right foundation, anyone can create insightful Business Central reports.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive, and until next time, happy reporting.
Happy reporting.